If a trans person shows up to your concealed carry class, how do you handle that? Hi, my name's Ray. I'm a firearms instructor from Chicago, and I'm going to do something a little bit different in this video. So if you don't know me, I make videos and teach in-person classes focused on teaching queer and trans people how to safely operate firearms. I do this because there really aren't a lot of safe spaces for people like me to learn about this stuff, despite the fact that many new gun owners belong to the LGBTQ community. For this video though, I'm going to focus on teaching a different underrepresented group in the firearms community, and that's firearms instructors who want to teach everyone regardless of what they look like or what communities they belong to. I've personally talked to a lot of you that would love to see more LGBTQ people in your classes, but you're scared that you'll say the wrong thing or do something to offend someone. Well, pull up a chair and get comfortable because I'm going to walk you through Queer People 101 and make sure you don't get canceled. Are we still canceling people? That's over with, right? Oh, so first let's talk about a topic that seems to get a lot of attention: pronouns. I'll start off by saying that pronouns aren't really as big of a deal in the queer community as people have been led to believe. Ultimately, they're just something we have to deal with because there's a lot of overlap between the different ways that someone might appear versus how they prefer people refer to them. As for how to handle them in class, keep things casual and don't get too excited. If you mess them up, just quickly correct yourself and move on. Something like, he makes a really good point. It's not hard to tell when someone's doing this maliciously, so don't feel the need to apologize profusely. One other tiny bit of advice is that you may want to avoid using people's first names until you've gotten to know everyone and given them a chance to introduce themselves. It's just as effective to do roll call using last names, and you'll avoid calling someone by a name they don't go by. In many cases, it costs over $1,000 and hours of work to change your name legally, so many people wind up using a different name for a long time. If you usually start your classes by saying something like, let's all go around the room and say our names and why we took the class, you can just say something like, let's all go around the room and say what we'd like to be called, pronouns if you got them, and why you took the class. Letting people know that they can share their pronouns can go a long way to making someone feel safe, whereas demanding everyone in class say their pronouns is probably not going to make anyone happy. Speaking of making everyone in class do things, let's talk about how we build consent. In the queer community, there are a lot of things we do regularly to make sure that we're not unknowingly harming each other. Ultimately, we use these as a sign of respect for each other's boundaries. Lots of times this can be as simple as letting people know that they can opt out of things that aren't required. If you have everyone in class go around and introduce themselves, let them know that they can just say pass if they aren't comfortable speaking in front of the group. Many trans people aren't super happy with their voice and may not want to speak in front of a room full of people, and some people are just shy. It's also good to warn people before talking about topics that might relate to personal trauma they've experienced. I talk about self-harm and suicide prevention in my classes, but I always warn everyone before that section starts and give them the opportunity to go outside and visit the vending machine during that part if they need to. We also want to make sure we're getting explicit consent before touching a student, if you're going to help them with grip, trigger pulls, or anything else. Remind students before going into the range that you may have to touch them to stop them from doing something dangerous, but that you'll only do so if absolutely necessary. So now that you feel comfortable teaching with trans and queer people in your class, how do you let them know they'll be safe if they show up? Lots of instructors do women-only classes already, but honestly, I would not suggest doing a queer-only class. I advertise my classes as queer-friendly, but I make it abundantly clear that everyone is welcome. Your focus in advertising should really be on inclusivity and safety. Something as simple as, our classes are for everyone, and if you disrespect another student's identity, you'll be removed, can make it clear that you're dedicated to making your class a safe place to learn. If that statement offends someone, then you probably don't want them in your class anyway. And that's all I've got for now. If you found this helpful, I'd love to hear from you, and as always, if you have any questions or feel like I got anything wrong, don't be afraid to let me know.